What is up? Welcome back to another video. Now, if you've been watching my videos for the last 3-4 years, thank you for doing so. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hope you enjoy it, like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. You might have picked up, just by searching around or by watching my stuff, that I talk about film cameras quite a bit. In fact, almost exclusively, I talk about film cameras. Every now and again, I'll have kind of a rant about something, but mostly I just talk about film and film cameras. These are two topics that I know a little bit about. Years of repairing them, years of shooting film, not very well, but years of shooting it all the same, has given me a certain level of knowledge at which I feel comfortable sharing opinions and information that I have unto you, the viewer. Something I don't talk about very much, which is kind of bizarre because they're very adjacent, is digital photography. The reason I don't really talk about it is because it's really hard for me to keep track of all of that stuff and then also repair stuff and then also maintain some kind of social life. I had to pick one, so I picked the outdated technology that already exists. But the metrics in which digital camera success is kind of measured nowadays appears to be somewhere in the realm of mirrorless, compact, weatherproof, kind of a hybrid model between still and video capturing, and also the film simulation plugins. So based off of those metrics, this is a complete and utter failure. But when it came out about 20 years ago, it was pretty bitchin'. This is, of course, the Canon 5D Mark I. It came out in October 2005. And I have to say, in spite of its lack of any of those things, I still think it's a pretty good camera. And for what it is and how much they cost, about $200 on the internet, depending on where you look, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better option, especially one with a full-frame 12.7 megapixel sensor. You might find better things out there. I've not really spent too much time looking, if I'm completely honest with you, but does still present a very interesting choice to a budget-friendly intro camera, albeit with some professional-level qualifiers. Important things to note, it has a EF mount. This is kind of one of my main draws to this camera system. As you notice, I have a Super Takumar 50mm 1.4 lens on here, and that is by virtue of this M42 adapter. The EF lens, very similar to its predecessor, the FD lens for Canon, is a very widespread lens. There's a healthy ecosystem of third-party lenses and adapters, so you can pretty much put whatever you want on this, and that gives you a lot of options. That gives you a lot of accessibility. This is a very easy camera to use. Now, the image quality itself is pretty remarkable. For how old it is, it does turn out some pretty high quality images. And at the time that these were produced, this was the smaller of Canon's options for professional cameras. They had the 1D, which is a Mondo massive camera, and the 5D, which is a scaled down version of that, but still with the full frame sensor and all sorts of other goodies. The thing about this that I find fascinating, it's one of the few times in which I bought something kind of before it got huge. I've owned this camera I've had it for a number of years. I had heard stories, I'd heard tales back in the day of the Canon 5D Mark II being used on the set of House. They had to film in this kind of collapsed building set. There were really tight corners. They needed a small camera package, and they ended up using the 5D Mark II. And due to my very lackluster reading comprehension skills, I ended up buying a 5D Mark I for about $100. And when I first got it, I was very disappointed in myself and my said reading comprehension skills. I did a little bit of mental gymnastics with the skill and precision that I think should earn me some kind of Olympic gold medal. And that mental gymnastic flip twirl ended in the conclusion that it's only really a mistake if I don't use the camera. So I ended up taking the camera out, shooting with it, and I produced some what I think are pretty high quality images and produced some very fond memories with this camera system. And it really did change when I started getting adapters, started putting new lenses on it, and really opened up the wheelhouse to what it could potentially be as a camera platform. And beyond just its ability to capture some good pictures and to create some fun memories, there's also a bit of magic going on here. Now, when I bought it initially, it just came with the camera body, the battery, and a charger. And this is the original battery. It is just a Canon BP-511A. Right? Nothing crazy, nothing to write home about. And I remember when I first got the camera, the initial disappointment, the initial frustration with myself, I looked past that, decided to start shooting with it. My next feeling was, wow, this battery doesn't last very long. I'd leave it charging for hours on end, and it felt like it died pretty much immediately. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm not a fan. And because I'd already sunk so much money into the camera, I was like, I'm not going to buy another battery. I'm just going to keep it with this one. I'll use just the single battery, the single charger, and we'll just see where the wind takes us. The reason I bring this up is because last month I went up to see my friends up in Washington. They just bought a boat, and I thought, I'll bring my Canon 5D and, take pictures and all sorts of good stuff like that. One of my buddies up there really likes the 5D, so I thought I'd bring it up there for him to mess around with. And I remember thinking before I left, I can't forget to charge the battery because I don't want to show up there, make a big deal about bringing the 5D and then have it die. Don't want to look like a fool in front of my friends. I'll charge the camera. So I get up there, out on a boat, and I'm taking a picture of something, and I think to myself, I never charged this. Just completely forgot to charge it. And the most amazing thing is, I thought back and I was like, I don't remember the last time I charged this battery. And as we sit today, I've not charged the battery, but it shows there's a low battery, obviously, but it's probably been over a year since I've charged the battery. Somehow the battery health has returned in ways that only magic can explain. Science does not understand the 5D battery charging capacity, but somehow it lives on. Now, at the beginning of this piece, I spoke about my lack of interest in a lot of digital camera systems. It has nothing to do with the cameras, with the brands, or the people that use them. It's just more of a personal preference. I find myself, when shooting with digital cameras, to prefer to just shoot a video instead because I feel more comfortable in that medium in terms of storytelling or capturing memories, whatever you want to call it, versus with still images. I'd rather just shoot with film, and not because I think that makes me a better photographer. It's just a mechanism that I prefer to use. There's something more special for me about shooting on film and getting to relive those memories through the lens of a film camera. There's something special about getting to use a film camera, getting to feel all the mechanical senses. And with digital stuff, especially the newer mirrorless things, there's just not that much. There's still a lot of really interesting things that are happening, but again, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, so it's not something I appreciate as much, and it feels more like sorcery rather than mechanical stuff happening. And then mix that in with the addition of film simulations. I understand on a surface level the appeal to that because a lot of people don't have access to the films that are being simulated. So getting the chance to shoot them in this augmented way is enjoyable, but for me it just feels odd. And I've not really been able to put my finger on it quite how I want to. I think there's something about shooting with a finite amount of a film that makes you appreciate and savor the experience even more. It makes me kick myself when I mess up an exposure or when I don't take a good photo, which happens more often than not. I feel like if I was having a simulation, you just are appreciating the look and you don't have that same sense of reverence for the medium. That might just be a me thing. I'm not trying to grandstand somebody or thumb my nose. I just think from my perspective as a creator in whatever capacity I can call myself that, it's just a little bit different. But with the Canon 5D, it's not trying to be anything other than what it is. It is a 20-year-old camera system that's earned its reverence by virtue of it being around for 20 years. At the time it was being produced, it was the top-of-the-line kind of system. I mean, second top of the line, because I guess the Canon 1D would be the top of the line, but the 5D was pretty darn close. And it still stands that test of time. It injects a bit of nostalgia for that look at that time period, at this really baked in color profile from the Canon sensors in the early 2000s that are pretty renowned for their looks. But it's not trying to augment your reality. It is that reality. It is a time dilation system back to what 2005 looked like for a lot of people, all for the price of what a lot of those cheap augmented camera systems would be, and in many cases a lot less than what they could be price-wise. So it holds on to the heart and the soul of the old film cameras that I love, with the mirror actuating with a really nice, gratifying shutter sound, with the added convenience of digital modernity. The only issue I have is trying to find my CF card reader, which always finds a way to escape me. I don't know where it goes. The Canon 5D, though, it's not going to be for everybody. It cannot really compete with the professional top-of-the-line stuff that's out there. There's just no way. Things have progressed so much in the past 20 years. You bring this dinosaur out, people are going to laugh at you. But what it does provide is the perfect digital camera for the analog photographer. If you really like shooting film, but maybe your budget right now is not really enjoying film, raising prices of film stocks and of lab developing fees have kind of got you in the dumps, but you still want to take photos, I would look into getting a Canon 5D. There's a lot of them out there. If you have any kind of pre-existing lenses, whether that's with your Spotmatic or with your Minolta SRT or with your Canon AE1, you can usually find an adapter for the EF mount, or you can get a Canon 50mm 1.8 lens. $80, I think. They're usually in that range. All sorts of great options for you there. I can't really recommend it enough, honestly. And as I think about this video, as I think about something that came out 20 years ago, I struggle to think about anything that's really come out this year that I'm going to be wanting to talk about in 20 years. There's not like really a product that's been released in 2025 that I can consider myself wanting to talk about in 2045. Partially because I don't think I'll have a YouTube channel at that stage. We'll probably be in some kind of like weird augmented reality. Who knows? But there's just nothing made today, I think, that's going to survive the next 20 years as well as the Canon 5D has. And again, it's not going to be for everybody. It's a unique flavor that I myself personally enjoy quite a bit. I think you might as well, so long as you know the confines in which it exists. But I do think it's worth talking about. I think it's worth sharing, and I think it's worth trying if you haven't already. And the beautiful thing about it is it's not expensive to give it a try. So that's pretty much my pitch on the Canon 5D. If you're interested in picking one up, can't recommend it enough. MPB has them, KEH has them. Use best judgment. If you have the budget for it, pick one up, give it a try. If you have already, let me know in the comments down below. Let others know what your experience was like. It's an outdated system. The menu reminds me of Avid, the editing software, which is not a pleasant place to be. But if you can get over that, if you can just enjoy the experience of shooting with a really outdated camera, then I think you'll have a lot of fun. And the pictures aren't too bad either. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.